Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's special Postgrad Insights webinar. As you can see on the screen, today is a special study climate adaptation engineering at Trinity College Dublin. This is a brand new program, new course, so it'll be great to find out the details and more information about what it is that you can study while you're in Dublin. Reminder, today's session is live, so if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box, chat facility. And likewise, if you are watching on one of our social media channels today, please use the actual messenger facility and we will get your questions. A reminder, if you're watching on demand, this is not live. You need to email webinars@postgradsolutions.com and we will endeavour to put you in touch with whether it be Melanie or Rui at the university. But for now, I'd like to mention that we're going to be live. I'm handing you over to Melanie and to Rui for the next 40 minutes. Over to you guys, and we'll see you towards the end for the live Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gareth. And hello, everyone. And thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. And hopefully in the next hour, we'll be able to give you some information about Trinity College Dublin, Ireland, and our School of Engineering, and also particularly with the focus on our newly launched program, MSc in Climate Adaptation Engineering. My name's Melanie. I'm from the E3 project team from the Faculty of STEM at Trinity. Later on, I will explain to you what this E3 project or the initiative is about and its relationship with the School of Engineering. Perhaps I could pass on to Rui just to introduce yourself.
Emily, thanks for the introduction. So I'm Rui. I'm one of the directors of these masters. I'm an assistant professor in civil engineering in Trinity, and my research focus is mostly on risk and resilience of systems. Hence, you see clearly the synergies with the climate adaptation engineering masters.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Trinity College Dublin. So Trinity College Dublin was founded in 1592 by Queen Elizabeth I, and so it's one of the oldest university in Europe and the world, and with over slightly over 400 years of history. It certainly is an ancient university. However, today it's a modern and it's a research intensive university sitting in the heart of Dublin City. Where is Dublin? I don't know if you are familiar with Dublin or Ireland. So maybe let me tell you a little bit about Ireland and why you should consider maybe persuade a study in Ireland. So Ireland sits in the west coast of Europe, and it's well known for its friendliness, and also it's considered one of the most safe sort of a country in Ireland. It's politically neutral, and with a population just slightly over 5 million, and it's an English-speaking country, and the only English-speaking country within the European Union. It has very long tradition in education excellence, and we are the home for many leading global companies in Ireland. I give you a bit more information later on. Ireland certainly is very well known for its innovative and creative culture, and we use euro as its currency. Ireland has the first number one, sort of ranked number one in Europe for completion of higher level education. And also for international students, we offer stay-back visa to students who have completed your bachelor degree, and you get 1 year stay-back graduation visa. And or if you complete a master's course in Ireland, you'll be able to get a 2-year stay-back visa. And it's a small country, but it's a very friendly and beautiful country. And so as I mentioned, that we have the graduation visa that's supporting our international students after completing your course to be able to work without restriction in Ireland. We have a career advisory service, and we have dedicated career officer who would help our students to plan their career. And so we offer a number of services. And as I mentioned, Ireland is the home for for a lot of, global companies. Ireland, in the recent IDM yearbook, it's ranked 4th most competitive global economy in the world. It's a multinational hub. As you could see, there are many names. There are major players in the various different sectors, industries that, you see many of these players have their European headquarter based in Ireland and many in Dublin. So, which for our students coming to study in Ireland and even in Dublin presents wonderful opportunities. As you could see, there are, in the ICT sectors, we have really growing technology sectors. We're really thriving in the pharmaceutical, sort of biomedical device, for example, and life science in general, and also in, aviation and in the financial services, in many sectors. There are wonderful opportunities. So we have very much a global economy. So first of all, this is a picture. In the center is where the university sits, and it's a ward university with a beautiful campus. It's one of the most beautiful campus in the world considered. So here is a map of, you could see the campus in the center. Also, you could see many major companies, multinational companies, sits very close by. And, you could say our proximity, to these companies really makes, Trinity in a very, very appealing location. Within 15 minutes walking distance, easily you could reach to, let's say, over 50 technology companies, some engineering firms, some financial services companies. So again, presenting wonderful opportunity for students to study, at Trinity College Dublin. So now I would tell you a little bit about our School of Engineering. So our School of Engineering established in 1841, making us one of the oldest engineering school in the world. Today, we have modern facilities and we're research focused. And we're consistently ranked high in the world rankings. And one of the unique features about our School of Engineering is our professors, while they're conducting cutting edge researches, and very often, they would have returned from industry with a lot of, insights and experience from industry. And some of them may be running their own companies. And so they have very strong links with industry locally and internationally, which really, with this links and insights and, and our students will benefit from these, having these links. And all our programs offered by the School of Engineering, they're accredited by Engineers Ireland, which is a professional body and which is important for our students if they wish to persuade a career as a profession in engineering. So that's very important. The School of Engineering currently offers 5 masters, and this year we're launching a new MSc in Climate Adaptation Engineering. Rui will be able to give you very detailed information in terms of some of the special features and why you should consider this MSc. We also offer MSc in Engineering and specializing in environmental engineering, sustainable energy engineering, structural and geotechnical engineering, and transportation engineering. And for those of you who are interested in mechanical, we offer a mechanical engineering, also which include a specialization in zero carbon technologies. And again, the programs would be very much focusing on the latest technologies in terms of sustainable engineer technologies. Our MSc in biomedical engineering offers 4 strands: a general strand, a medical device design strand, a neuro biomedical engineering strand, and tissue engineering strand. Again, a wealth of options for you to consider if you're interested in the biomedical engineering area. Again, Ireland would be a wonderful place to study because of it's a hub for sort of a biotechnology. Also, we offer MSc in Electronic Information Engineering with a strand in Computational Engineering. And the last program the school offers is the MPhil in Music and Media Technologies. So again, we offer a suite of engineerings. There are 3 departments sits in the School of Engineering: the Department of Mechanical and Biomedical Engineering, the Department of Civil, Structural, Environmental Engineering, and also the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. So there are many options for students who are interested in studying engineering to consider. So now I'm going to pass it over to, sorry, before that, as I mentioned, I'm from the E3 project office. What is E3? What are the 3 E's? So the 3 E's stands for engineering, environment, and emerging technologies. So it's a new initiative launched more than 5 years ago at Trinity by the Faculty of STEM. And it's a new type of collaboration among 3 schools: the School of Engineering, the School of Computer Science and Statistics, and the School of Natural Sciences. And we hope through this new type of collaboration to foster a collaborative, interdisciplinary approach while delivering engineering and technology education. We hope our graduates, not only have the technical skills, but also very knowledgeable in the green sort of a space. So this is where the E3 idea is coming from. And in the picture here, there is a building, the Martin Norton E3 Learning Foundry, which has been built and currently being fitted out. We hope the building will be in use later this year. And having this amazing space is really a physical space to realize some of the ideas that E3 has set out to do. It's to, again, encourage collaborative project work. So it's a wonderful space for students, from the 3 schools. When they are learning the course, they have a space that will, help them to learn in a collaborative way. So we're really excited and looking forward to the use of this building. Now I'm going to pass on to Rui to tell you a bit about the MSc in Climate Adaptation Engineering course.
Thanks, Melanie. I guess this was a very good introduction because this master is definitely quite related to the E3, the idea that we have these balanced solutions. So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is just to give a bit more insight into what are you expected to learn, what are the motivations, the objective, why these masters, and so on. I guess just to give you a bit of context, I would say that climate change needs no introduction at the moment. So what we have seen is the climate hazards have been increasing, in particular extreme events. What we see also is that the increase in frequency, so they happen more often than we expected, and also in intensity, even more often and stronger than we had anticipated before. While we built built environment, we defined our societies. What we see also is that this is quite damaging. There's a large cost to that, and there's evidence that the costs due to climate extremes, they are on the rise. Just to give you an idea, I don't have the numbers from 2024, But the previous 3 years, so that's 21, 22, and 23, were among the top 4 ever recorded for climate damages, which is a concern. And a bit to paraphrasing the Secretary General for the United Nations, we are a bit in the fight of our lives. And we also know that back 5 years ago, the World Bank had already formed some very comprehensive studies on climate adaptation. And what they've shown is that in average, for every euro that you spend on climate adaptation today, that's 4 euros you save in the future, or four units of money. And of course, we see there's a benefit to this. This is something we should pursue. So what's then the climate adaptation engineering master? Melanie, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So why then the climate adaptation engineering master? What we want here is to develop graduates that will have the technical and practical skills to support climate adaptation. With, again, this connects very well with the E3 idea, that is to deliver balanced solutions that have a lens of engineering, natural sciences, and data science, so that we can leverage all these 3 pillars, let's say, of that's what we expect to be the future in terms of climate resilience. So in this master, the expectation is that students would be able to have, or would have, some core climate adaptation modules that will give you a good technical understanding of what's the problem, how we address it, and at the same time collaborate. And this is I would say, a unique feature of these masters in this industry-led climate adaptation research project. So the idea is that you're in the E3 master going to be working closely with the industries to kind of address a real world problem. So that's a very strong empirical view, or to have the opportunity to provide a very strong empirical view to the knowledge you get, technical knowledge you get through the masters. Again, motivations, we go back to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, those are at the core, but we also have seen that a bit all around the world, all countries, all regions are, really concerned with this need to address climate. So they have climate action plans. There's real evidence that the damages to climate are going to be significant in the future. And so with that, we know there's a need to deliver a generation of experts that are able to deliver these plans, these climates, to leverage climate adaptation into preventing and making societies more resilient. So I'm just going now to give you an overview of the program and a bit the structure that we use. So it's essentially divided in 3 phases. In each one, you complete more or less 30 credits. That's the metric we use in terms of workload. So in between September and December, so we start usually in September, you're going to have core and elective modules. So there's a series of core modules that that they are mandatory. And then there's a series of modules on offer. And at the same time, you start working on your master project. That's the industry-led research project, and where you're going to define the focus and start understanding what's the problem you're going to have in hand. And in this, we help all the students to pair with companies. We already have a series of companies that are interested in providing projects and so on. Then in the second phase, you continue with that's between January and April, more or less. We continue with the core and elective modules, and at the same time, you start working on this industry-led research project where you kind of do the preliminary design of it, or preliminary solution. And finally, in the third phase, that's between May and August, you are 100% focused on working in this industry-led research project. And this may involve placements in the industry, the partner, and so on. What are then the unique features of this master? We go back to D3, so it's an interdisciplinary approach. So you're going to have modules of engineering, computer science, and statistics, and natural science subjects. First, it's the climate and adaptation engineering, so you have many modules of engineering, but that's complemented with the knowledge in the other 2 disciplines. It's an E3 program, and if you go through D3 vision, you'll see that there are other masters, and the idea is that you will have the opportunity to engage with students from different disciplines and kind of get, I would say, a whole picture view of what problems we need to address in the future and how we need to collaborate and have this kind of interdisciplinary thinking to be able to deliver the solutions for this. And again, there's a strong focus on collaboration with public and private sector, again, through the industry-led projects, where you're going to have the opportunity to work in highly industry-led or driven projects. And this includes, for instance, industry placements that are going to be tailored to solve real-world pressing issues. So we offered a case study on a certain location in Ireland where you need to provide a climate adaptation solution for that. I added here a couple of the modules that you're going to have, just to give kind of an overview of the structure. So maybe what I can do, Melanie, is to add then the link in where we have a detailed video where we have a detailed video that describes in detail what's the content in each of these. That will be fine, no? It's because we cannot go through all of them, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think I could. I don't think there's link. Did you say?
No, there's a link in our website that we can use where there's more details on this.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I add the link in the chat. Yeah.
Or we can send that later. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, in the first phase in between September and December, essentially there are 5 modules. 4 of them are core, and 1 is elective. So from the elective, we have 6 modules on offer here, and the 4 core are Introduction to Climate Adaptation Engineering. This is again very focused on the part to develop solutions. Global environmental change, where you're going to be understanding where the hazards, what's the driver of the hazard in terms of climate change, what's making them become more, again, like I mentioned, frequent and intense. Then we have GIS, that's Advanced Spatial Analysis, using GIS because the GIS has a very important role in developing holistic solutions. And then there's machine learning. Again, going back to the real motivation here, we want students to be able to leverage data science in the way they develop the climate adaptation solutions. Then in between January and April, there's one more module on climate adaptation engineering, and this is the challenge, where you're going to it's very practice based, so you're going to be given a challenge and you need to propose a solution to it. And again, adaptation planning for infrastructure. It's a bit of a continuation of the previous introduction, where we are going to be focused on developing the solution. Then we have civil engineering for sustainable development, that is very focused on sustainability. How can we embed sustainability in the practices of climate adaptation? Life cycle assessment for engineering practice. Also, to teach students how to do a life cycle assessment, because today we need to come up with the solutions that are kind of holistic through their whole lifetime. So you need to account for all life cycles of a certain solution, from the moment you conceive it to the moment you need to take it. You need to decommission it. Then there's human interactions with biodiversity, and finally there are 5 more elective modules that are again on offer. And all this information is more detailed. There's more detail to it in our website, so you can see the clear content of each module there, what's going to be taught, what's the motivations, why is it important. And this brings us to the research project. So the research project, like I mentioned, is a climate adaptation master thesis. The idea here is to offer a real-world experience through an industry-led climate adaptation project. Again, you need to collaborate with people from the industry. You will develop professional skills through this. So it's an important part of getting this all-around education in climate adaptation. And where in it, you're going to be able to take 1 of 2 project pathways. Can be industry-specific projects. So this is going to be, both of them are going to be led by the industry. That's definitely for sure. And some of them may include full-time placements in the industry, some of them may partial placements, and so on. The idea is this is going to be linked to an identified organization, and it's going to produce a practice-based output where you're expected to use all the knowledge you attained in the previous 2 phases of the program to put that to practice in, for example, a case study or a similar problem. Then, in terms of career prospects, of course, we didn't start this because we, from one moment to the other, we said, okay, we want to do this master. We did a very comprehensive assessment of what are the demands. And what we identified is that the demand for climate adaptation professionals is growing very rapidly across different sectors. Whether that's, for example, engineering and environmental consultancies, that would be straightforward to identify. So we need more sustainable infrastructure solutions, sustainable materials, and so on. And that's straightforward to understand. But also, for instance, other fields would be insurance and risk management. You would be surprised to see that insurance companies are quite interested in this because they usually work on a long-term basis, and it's very difficult to make informed decisions when you have limited information about the future. Government agencies and local councils, they are usually leading the climate action initiatives. They need the expertise, the people to deliver this. And NGOs and global organizations are just another example that usually are the ones shaping international climate policies. And again, what they want is to have a form of evidence or evidence-informed policies. So they want evidence to be able to make the right decisions. And these are just some examples of the different demand that we expect to have, and we know that already exists in this topic. And finally, in terms of entry requirements, Trinity, one of the best universities in the world, so we expect students to have an honors bachelor's degree at minimum 2.1 or above. And this should be in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, architecture. To say that in this master we want to foment this kind of interdisciplinary collaboration. So we like people from different backgrounds, so they provide different insight and different perspectives to the same problem, so that we get these kind of balanced solutions that I mentioned before. So again, you expect to have English language proficiency, so that's IELTS 6.5 or equivalent. So all this is in Trinity's website. It's easy to find. Then you should have 2 statutory reference letters, and suitable candidates usually will be interviewed for a short interview. That interview is going to happen with me. That's most of the cases, and this a bit to understand your motivation to do and to complete these masters. That's it, Melanie. I give the word back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Rui. That's fantastic information on, the motivation really behind this course and why and the demand, and certainly we're getting great interest for this course area, and I think from a Trinity point of view we really want to be in a leading position in promoting solutions for climate crisis. So in terms of applications for this September, the intake will be in September, and for most of our engineering courses, we are still accepting application with the exception of biomedical engineering, which is closed. But the other engineering programs are still open for application, including climate adaptation engineering. The application process is very straightforward. You have the link there and just follow the instruction, and you can complete the online application form. And Also, will be asked to upload some supporting documents, including, a certified copy of your degree award, if available, and your up-to-date academic transcripts. And if you are still in your final year completing your degree, that's absolutely fine. You can proceed with your application just to provide your up-to-date your academic transcripts. That will be great. And in terms of proof of English proficiency, again, just to give us an idea, your English proficiency level for those who are interested in proceeding with an application. And if you haven't started, for example, taking part in the English test, it's okay to submit the English test result at a slightly later stage if you want to submit the application. You are asked to provide 2 references, can be 2 academic or 1 academic and 1 professional reference. And we also need a copy of your ID, your CV, and a statement. Really, we want to understand why you are interested in the course you're applying for. Just to be aware that admissions for majority of our master's courses at Trinity, for engineering anyway, they are assessed on a rolling basis, meaning that when the applications come in, they will be assessed by the relevant course director. And we do have capacity. And in terms of the class size, Climate Adaptation Engineering is relatively new. Before our other engineering courses, generally speaking, our class size is between 20 to 25, relatively small. So once, the course is full, suitable applicants may be placed on the waiting list. So if you're interested, I would, advise to submit an application sooner than later. Just on the scholarships opportunities, Trinity offers, or the E3 Project Office offers E3 postgraduate scholarships for both EU and non-EU offer holders. So if you have received a course offer, you're more than welcome to submit an application. Through the link there, it gives you information about the award value. It's between 2,000 to 5,000 and served as deduction from your tuition fee due. The process is very simple. Just you need to complete an online form and also to include a 200-word statement. So it's very straightforward. Our colleague in the Trinity Global Office, they offer Global Excellence postgraduate scholarships. Again, very similar process, and the award is between 2,000 to 5,000 euro for non-EU students. And also we have awards for European students as well. And the links there that, would lead you to the application process. And once you have an offer, you're more than welcome to proceed with an application. I understand, to decide, to identify the course you're interested and to make a decision, it's a process that, it's a very big decision. So one of the facilities that we have is for you to be able to connect with our current students, and so you can reach out to our current students. So we have this facility, Talk to Students, our students ambassadors from the various programs, from many countries, that you can get in touch and send them an email, and and they will get back to you and they will share their insight as as international students on a specific course, or as a student in Trinity in Ireland. So that's in a nutshell about Trinity College, our engineering, and particular the MSc in Climate Adaptation Engineering. You're more than welcome to get in touch. We have the email address, and we have you can follow us on social. And most importantly, if you're interested to speak with the E3 Recruitment Admissions team, you can get in touch with us to schedule a one-on-one call appointment, and we'll be delighted to provide with more detailed information. So very much looking forward to the next Q&A session, and to maybe answer some questions.
Thank you, Melanie and Rui as well for the comprehensive guide there on the new course, which is great. If we could just leave that screen as it is, because I think that's really great for any students that want to find out more information and what to scan and where to contact you guys, that would be great. I think at the moment, climate is such a hot take for everywhere around the world. You know, everyone's got one eye on climate change, and it's such a popular and controversial at times, of course, topic. Melanie, I'm going to start with you if that's okay, because we heard earlier about Dublin and Ireland in particular, about what makes it such a great place to study and what makes it stand out, not only the career opportunities, but the high educational levels as well. Why would a student come specifically to Trinity College Dublin to study this new program that you've got to offer when it's a very universally controversial, like I said, topic? Why would they choose Ireland over another country? Say they're from England already, and why would they come to Ireland? Why would that be?
Oh, that's a really good question. So there are a couple of factors I think that I believe, Trinity and this course certainly stands out. First of all, Ireland, well, Trinity being the leading research, I suppose, focused university. First of all, as I mentioned, that we have over 400 industry partners that we work very closely with. And it's really valuable to have these partners that will get insight. We're part, we work very closely with this industry, providing our students with some sort of internship opportunities, for example, graduate employment opportunities, and most importantly, to collaborate on research and the product development, for example. Again, that's, I think, really good exposure for our students. And as I mentioned, our professors will have very close links with the industry. One thing I do want to again flag to Ireland, being, I suppose, its strategic location in Europe, and is the gateway for, I suppose, to Europe, and also its connection with the US. And we really have a global economy and a growing engineering industries. We have many major engineering firms, pharmaceuticals, and are heavily invested in Ireland, and having Ireland being their home for decades, basically. And again, that's providing students the opportunity. To go back to your question in terms of why choose this program, the E3 initiative established, I mean, number one is that there are a couple of purposes behind the E3 project itself. Number one is we want to increase STEM graduates, the number of STEM graduates. We are now having a physical space to cater for that. Number two, we are trying to deliver a new type of education, which is interdisciplinary. So students are familiar with not just one discipline, but also in multiple sort of discipline areas. And number three, the E3 project really is focusing on sustainability, because especially for engineers, and we recently launched our strategy plan on research. The role engineers play really is to identify solutions and to achieve that sustainability, and the well-being of our society and also climate is one of the area that we cannot avoid, and whether it's companies or government agencies, and it's an area that we all have to work together, play our part. And Trinity, I believe, is leading in this space in Ireland. And hopefully, and I know myself and Rui, we had chat earlier, and I think our vision really is to place Trinity in the front of this sort of driving climate resilient. Maybe I'm going to pass on
I
to
agree
Rui
with
to
you.
add.
Yeah, I was going to say, Rui, do you want to add to that a little bit?
No,
Because
it's just I do, just going back to your question when you mentioned, climate, and if you look at the numbers, there's nothing you can do about that. So I had some of, just to give you an idea. So since in the last 40 years, the damages, it could be, could be from climate, could be just the fact that societies are more complex, the systems are more complex, populations tend to move to the urban areas and so on. But in the last 4 years, the damages due to climate disasters, they have increased by 40 years. Sorry, that's not 4 years. So that's, we can try to make that a discussion. But the numbers, what they say is that there's a clear increasing trend. And at the same time, so we do need, if we save this money, something we can save in somewhere else. And that's why I mentioned that what we see is that it's quite cost effective to perform climate adaptation, and and that's quite in the interest of the societies everywhere, I would say.
It
So
is.
I mean, yeah.
Rui, one of the things I want to talk about is Melanie actually touched upon it just a moment about the global nature of Ireland, about Dublin specifically, actually. I've been to Dublin a few times, and one of the things that struck me in a very ignorant British way, if I don't mind saying, is that I was surprised at the international nature of the country and city. There were students from all over the world. There were
Yeah.
students from, and I'm not just talking about Trinity College, I'm talking about some neighboring universities as well. It's a big, it's big on education, postgraduate education, Ireland. And there were a lot of students from South America, from North America, from Asia, from the UK as well. And that really kind of struck me because I always thought kind of, you're going to get a lot of UK students, but being the typical British ignorant person that I can perhaps be, I was really struck by the international nature. Now, because of that, presumably you're anticipating and have in the past with other programs strong alumni that are based within Dublin, within Ireland, and therefore form strong partnerships and businesses locally. And I know you mentioned earlier, Melanie, about the 400 partnerships you've got. I'd imagine most of them are actually within Ireland.
My answer to that was, well, is that then this kind of synergy, like you're just mentioning, it just evolves. So then the companies will move to Dublin because of that international environment where you, like you mentioned, you have strong professionals in different topics, and of course, companies will want them to work even in global problems. So it's a kind of self feeding feedback loop where it just slightly or slowly grows, and and becomes this environment where collaboration is. We deeply believe that collaboration is a positive thing, and that's one of the values we try uh, to promote in these masters when we bring the industries to work, because they come and they knock us. Okay, we want, can we work with you on this? We need this type of profile. We need professionals in topics of and so on, and that becomes this kind of evolving synergy that it becomes a natural process to us.
Excellent. Melanie, I want to talk about the kind of structure of the application. There will be many students that are kind of looking at applying. There's a strong turnout today. There'll be plenty of people watching on demand that will want to know, I want to apply. I want to find out more information. There have been loads of questions around about the intricacies of applying, about the IELTS requirements, their English language proficiency test. No, no, not just IELTS itself. And also about how long they can expect that application stage to take and how you will help. What are the next steps for a student that are watching today, or whether it be in the future, if they want to apply? Head over to the website. What happens then?
Yeah, so for those of you who are interested to proceed with an application, the process itself is very straightforward. And as I mentioned, all you need to do is complete an online application form, upload a couple of documents, and submit an application fee of €55. And you can apply up to 3 programs at postgraduate level. So once you submit the application, what will happen is the application will then be visible to the relevant course director. Some other universities may have different process, but at Trinity, because we want to make sure that we have, suitable candidates who are passionate about the course and would be a good fit for the program. So admissions are assessed by course directors. So usually it takes, the course directors will have 10 working days to look at the applications and then to make a recommendation, whether that's the next step being maybe be invited to for an interview, and maybe the course director would be happy enough to make a recommendation, for example, to offer, and the offer is subject to, for example, meeting the language requirement. So it really depends on the course director. Some course director may be quite quick in, making a decision, and also to be honest, our academics are, they're very busy. They do teach and supervise, PhD students involved in research, and also they do, assess applications. So sometimes there will be a slight delay, but generally speaking, the course directors will, take some time to go through the application. And if the case is that, candidates will be invited for an interview, and you'll get information about it. And then, and usually the interview is really just a opportunity to have a conversation for both parties get to know what the course is about and would they be a suitable candidate for the course. And then once the recommendation is in our academic registry, we'll then, do the documentation check and confirm the final decision. So all in all, applicants should be able to expect a decision within, let's say, around maybe 4 weeks. Sometimes could be a bit longer. Again, you have the email address there. We are sort of the middle person that, for those of you interested in engineering courses, submit an application. And if you want to know where your application is at, you're more than welcome to contact the E3 team.
And I think it's important to note there's so many caveats in there as well, isn't there, in terms of, have you got everything ready? Have you submitted your application properly? Is your English language up to speed? So thank you for that, Melanie. Just a few minutes left. I want to kind of finish with, there will be many students watching that will be of different personalities, different kind of cultures and different backgrounds, different styles. What are you anticipating the program to be like from a class size point of view? Rui went through the modules earlier about what they can expect during the timeframes, but how will that look for a student day to day? Will that be lectures? Will that be sat at home wherever they're living within Dublin or whatever, wherever they might be? What will be the structure of that?
It varies, depends on the program, and maybe Rui could
Yeah.
tell us a bit on the climate adaptation. But generally speaking, that the lectures is during the day between 9 to 6, and sometimes depends on the module. Some module you would expect maybe larger numbers because there could be a multiple program sharing that module, and then certain modules would be a lot smaller in terms of size, and but also besides of the lectures, and there will be smaller sort of group tutorials, and then as a postgraduate students that you are expected to put in similar hours and more in terms of self-studies, in terms of completing your project and coursework. I don't know, Rui, if you want
No,
to
it's
come in here.
that sums it quite well. So every time when we look at the program, we do again we focus on the learning outcomes and what do we need to achieve this, and of course then that will shape the way the models are delivered. Some models are going to be we're going to have a very strong practical basis where we consider that that's necessary to have an empirical understanding of the topics we discuss. We discuss risk, which if we discuss that only from a theoretical perspective, quite difficult for the student to attain or to gain an understanding of how in practice how that works. Other modules, like Melanie mentioned, are shared with other programs, which means the class size could be slightly larger, and it's a mixture. I think it's kind of ad hoc to each module. So if the module is very core fundamental, it's expected probably to have a final exam so that we make sure that students achieve the learning outcomes individually. And some modules are, can be more into promoting collaboration. So you would expect to have a case study, a work, a group project, some industry experts invited to provide some of these case studies too. So it's a bit, it works a bit ad hoc to the model. And again, because I mentioned that during the presentation. So there's a video online also in our page where, you can see really the detail of the models. What are the topics that are covered? I think that's also interesting to any, potential applicants, just to have a look into more detail. What are the, empirical, the knowledge that's are going to be taught through this. Yeah.
Superb. Thank you. Rui, Melanie, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. There's been a few questions come in around English language requirements. What I would urge any student that isn't sure or hasn't got everything they need perhaps from this webinar, there are QR codes on the page as you're looking at it now. You can email e3.team@tcd.ie, or you can head over to the website tcd.ie/e3/ to find out more information. But Rui, Melanie, thank you for your time. Really appreciate the last 45 minutes to an hour, and we hope to hear from you at some point in the coming years to find out how successful this has been. But for any student looking to find out more information, please rewatch the webinar. We'll make sure we send you this in your email. And if you've got any questions, please do reach out. Thank you. Take care.